Hello and welcome to episode 302 of the Mailbag Preview, and what a weekend of racing we have ahead and what a team we have for you. Pete Anthonys, suggest probably down in Melbourne, although you are a traveller, WA or Melbourne?
No, Melbourne. Although I'll be up in Sydney next week, so I'm looking
Wow.
forward to getting up there and doing some mounting yard with Rob there. I think we've got Kensington, 7 of the worst on a Wednesday. So I only go to the big meetings these days when I cross the border. So no, I'm actually really looking forward to getting up to Sydney. Haven't been in ages.
You're going to struggle with shorts and a t-shirt up here. It is freezing. Pack that Kathmandu puffer jacket that you Melbourne Knights wear and keep yourself warm. The man that holds us all together, the white Kiwi, he's not here, but our senior advisor, Butch Bourne, is. G'day, Butch.
Hey guys.
That's a bit flat.
Well, I came from the Gold Coast back to this morning here. It was -3. Absolutely freeze the nuts off a Kenworth. It would. It was that cold. I reckon I spoke to my neighbour Barty, and one of his chooks fell off the perch and just dropped dead. Got frostbite or something. Very cold.
Very cold. Lindsay Bowles up there in Queensland. Probably a little bit warmer for you.
Yeah, a bit warmer. Still got a few layers on though. I just come back from Adelaide and that was way too cold for me, so I can't imagine -3.
Dominating proceedings down there. It looks like you're in the home office.
Yep.
Bush just made one of the great lines of comedy. We'll probably leave that one off the podcast, but everything under control there?
Mate, everything is under control. I had the pleasure of actually meeting the horse whisperer who you get to next in the flesh on Sunday, which was an absolute pleasure. And then the downside of that was spending about 3 hours with Butch as well. But anyway, you got to take one to get one,
Yeah, you win some, you lose more. So they keep telling us, Pete. Rob Scurry, the man that, what is it? The horses whisper and you listen. Good afternoon to you. You just can't make this stuff up.
Why can we now not hear him?
The great man Rob Scurry won't be far away once he works on that internet connection at Coogee. Must be tough. Let's kick off, Butch, with a bit of sales recap. It's been a big sales season. You've had more free toasted sandwiches than any man alive. Give us a bit of a recap on the sales season.
Yeah, long and arduous. Mick, probably, I don't know whether you'd keep the pace, to be honest. Long hours.
I would not.
No, I thought that. No, it's the last big sale of the year. There's one little one. They sell some foals down in Melbourne, and if you're willing, you can go across the ditch to NZ and have a go at their foals as well. But the last big sale, the May-June sale there, starting off with foals, broodmares, and then the yearlings. We covered the first part of the sale. They finished off the yearlings. I sold 77% of them, which is probably to be expected, I'd say, because you got a mixture of legitimate leftovers and then the leftovers or the late maturers. But there's enough activity. I think the top 5 prices, 3 of them were by extreme choice. So that tells you, people are still going to pay up for the better size. There was a Harry Angel chucked in there. That was actually quite a good story. A $1,500 foal purchased into $575,000. So it's what happens when you get 2 people on a horse that really, really want it. And I think
you're a big fan of the Ole Kirks, Butch. Last year, is there anything that sort of stood out to you this year?
Yep. So I think I gave a little push for Hitotsu from what I'd seen, and Animo. There's a few more Animos up there that sold really well. So they were the 2 that come to mind from the first season size that I've seen. Got to remember, it's a very small sample size. It's the foal crop compared to what's retained. Most of the good horses are retained, so you get a guide though. So as an early guide, I'll nominate those 2 horses from what I've seen.
If the captain is off playing golf today, we speak of Jack Dickens, he'd be letting his pencil hearing Animo.
He's got a bit of a shrine to the horse somewhere in the house. I think he's kicked out the bloody sewing kit from Em's room to stick it up. But it's a bit of a bonus actually, because I was meant to go down and play golf with the crew, and unfortunately I had something come up and I couldn't make it. So I'm going to call it a win for them and a win for me.
How
Obviously,
unfortunate.
This podcast takes priority. Sorry, Pratty.
I said, how unfortunate. That's unbelievable that you've had something pop up, Butch. Unbelievable.
Hey lads, big day for Mailbag crew down there last weekend. It was a big open day. We'll get to Scuzz when his internet kicks over for the 5th time this session. But Pratty, why don't you talk us through it? You were out and about. You were the Mailbags version of Bruce Slade. You were dominating proceedings. How was the day?
Yeah, it was good down at Lindsay Park at Flemington. I'd actually never been into the stables there. It was a nice way to start the morning. I got out of the car by seeing Butch first. I said, Butch, how are you? He goes, it's cold down here. And I was like, well, don't get the day after too positive a start, mate. Let's just let's get things going. He goes, I wouldn't take that Macca's coffee cup in there either. I think Jack's paid for all the coffees. I was like, okay, yep, good start. So I'm going well here. But let's hand it straight over to Butch or Scuzz if he has connected. Butch, to start with, you were pretty on top of the acclaim when it walked out. Your face lit up when you saw that develop a little bit for the purchase for the Mailbag.
Yeah, well, I'm not that well connected with you guys because apparently they were all talking about it's a little bit of work up the hill the other day, and I didn't have the vision, but I saw the vision after I saw the horse. So very happy with her. She's come through their system at Lindsay Park extremely well and had a little brush up the hill before she goes out to the paddock. So you're talking about rising 2-year-olds in the middle of winter here, so it's very good. But the Portland Sky, very pleasantly surprised by him. He's really thickened up, and I like what I saw there. He's been probably be the big improver. They did tell us that he'd had some setbacks in his preparation at heading to the sales. So with that in mind, we saw what we believed to be the frame of the horse and the action, and that's why we got into him. So really happy with those purchases. Extremely happy with, obviously the Alabama filly coming off her trial victory. Very, very, very good trial victory. We could ask Lindsay about what he thought about that in and around it. But I think Pete was sort of saying that from a mounting yard perspective, she was the one. She had the sort of shock. She had the glint in her eye, and she's walking with purpose. Probably a horse. Probably what tells you it's a horse that's had a couple of trials and it's heading to the races very shortly after maybe one more. But it just, Pete, you can elaborate, but she has a bit of presence, that filly, doesn't she?
Yeah, she really does. I think I said she was the best walking horse that I'd seen in the last 5 weeks, and that includes seeing about several hundred horses just parading around the mounting yards here in Victoria. It was really nice to see. I was pleasantly surprised, but I was also pretty taken with how the Seamus Award is developing as well. So I think that filly as well, both of them, they're very exciting to have on the team. That's for sure.
Rob Scurry, do we have you there in the background? No, we don't. Rob's still bit of trouble with our phone lines today, but apologies there. Lindsay, what did you make of the trial of the Alabama?
Yeah, I thought it was great. Those packing and back straights can be a bit deceiving at times, but if you see a horse make ground, that's normally a good indication of their ability. Some good stock in around it in that heat too. A few of Stokes' horse, Tom, who's won a midweek race, was back in the heat. And then there was another one of Stokes' who then come out and won a trial, I think second quickest time of the morning, I think on Tuesday this week. So it's very, very encouraging for a horse like it, who's half by Frankville didn't get going until about 2,000 metres. So, we've got a sharp Alabama filly there that's keeping up an 800 metre jump outs, not just keeping up, but excelling. So I think it's great signs moving forward for our business and to show that we can pick a yearling, get them going early.
Beautiful, love that. And just an update on Rob Scurry. The internet is done for the day. He's a late scratching, paraded poorly to be fair. I'm surprised I even let him get to the barriers, but he's been scratched. The gates.
Yeah, he over-raced big time on Friday night and wasn't one Jay Dickens first to point it out before he even said about a horse coming out. The first thing he said was, now, just apologies for Scars. He's over-raced a little bit. It was a good way to kick off proceedings, I thought.
Well, that is good, and now he's gone, we can slag him. So obviously we all, and I'm probably guilty of this as most, is you get to a new destination, you over-race the first night you get there. Obviously Scars has done that. He's a big Reds man, and he's just obviously a little bit over the top on his first day there, Pratty. But did he have a mate as well that got himself in a bit of strife?
Yeah, I think he's making a lot more strife than Scuzz is. Scuzz went out and played up a little bit, but was well behaved and turned up via the Pete. Where did he go down? Did he start at the 1200 metre, or was he at the 1000 metre? I'll let you elaborate on that one once I throw to you. But yeah, I heard that his mate is in a whole lot more pain than he was, and not just hungover wise, but with the missus. I think did he say Cosmopolitans, Pete? Was that what he was on?
They were making martinis.
That's right.
And I think some margaritas as well.
Margaritas, that was
it
the
was
one.
only meant to be just a bottle of red, a nice quiet Friday night or Saturday night it was, and it turned out into a little bit of a blowout. But no, he turned up at somewhere around the turn on Flemington, and he emerged from basically the course proper in towards the back end of the stables. So A to B via Z, I think, is probably the best way to describe Rob Scurry's experience here on Sunday.
Had he had a bridle on and a strapper next to him, you would have sworn that he was parading. That's the entrance he's coming.
Generally, the best nights start off with just a quiet bottle of red, and then escalate from there. Butch, you'd probably know more about that than most.
Yeah, well, when you get to my age, you plan your flare-ups. So when we had a gap between the last two sales on the Gold Coast, we booked a Thursday lunch. The Maris brothers, some nice seafood, and a table of about 8 of us. Don't have to name names, but there was a few that really hit the ground running, and we ended up at some bar in Main Beach by about kick-off time in the footy, about 7:30, and then saw the last quarter at the Broadbeach Tavern, and last stop at Moose on the Loose on the corner or something. But I think I went straight past that, straight to bed. But it's yeah, I mean, normally probably in real terms it'd be 4 o'clock in the morning, but because we're so well structured, it's about 11. So you still get a good night's sleep, So this is what you guys can look forward to. Lindsay's probably still at the stage where he drinks a bottle of vodka at home and then goes out at midnight and joins in with the rest of them at about a quarter of the price. And a few 2 or 3 quality hours at the nightclub. Is that right, Lindsay?
Oh, I mean, we all have our moments. I remember one of the first millions I went to. We ended up at the Loose Moose, Dicko and I, and a few. Who else was there? Shane was there. A few others, and I think I was the ripe age of 19, and I had a good crack after a few at a well-known syndicator. So we all have our moments, and Dicko was quick to pull me into line, but I don't think I've learnt too much since then. Yeah.
Speaking of cost cutting and trying to save money before you go out and drink, it's been a lot of chat this week. Uncle Chris has come out and suggested that maybe we need to reduce some prize money. Now he's got it all.
Yeah, that was interesting because up until Wednesday he hadn't been getting too much of it. He was. I see the strike rate drop down to 0%. I don't know how many runners you got to have get to that. But
just on that, you sent that little clip through to our group. Was it Sunday night?
Yeah, it was Sunday night.
I may have been prompted by someone who said, "I know there's a couple of guys in New South Wales having a big night. How about we throw a little bit of bait out?" So.
It started off just one. I try to keep pushing it on, but the boys went a bit soft. I thought you were a bit weak, all of you. But that was good. But probably more to the point, since you sent that, multiple media organisations picked that up and ran with it. Even the great Sky Racing started running with it.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
You're a real mover. I know you've retired, but you still have a heavy influence on this industry, Bush.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know how I ran into that bit of content. I was looking up a horse or something, and I just bumped into it, and which I double checked it before I spoke to Jack about that. But anyway, wow. 80 runners for him is how long does that take, Ganno? About a week?
A week.
Yeah, Monday. For
And
sure.
then they absolutely backed one off the map at Warwick Farm yesterday, and all is right with the world again. It was properly backed. I think it sat out the back last and just went around them for fun.
What
Don't
did you
worry
make
about
of
Uncle Chris.
what did you make of well, while we'll stay on breeding, what did you make of Stormboy over at in the UK?
Pratty?
How good was the comment from the trainer saying that he didn't know what he that he hadn't done too much with it, and they were just seeing what they had. Like, fuck, have you not watched any races of it in Melbourne and had any idea? But yeah, I thought it was a very interesting comment. Is he just trying to save his own bacon there, or have they got a proper problem, Butch?
Well, 2-year-old, it doesn't matter where in the world and who's had them, but 2-year-old form, and he tapered off in the end of that preparation. One, if he had been here, you probably would have thought he would have come back fresh, gone down the sprint path, etc. But I don't look. It's another world over there, but it's very Aidan O'Brien like for a horse to race like that. They normally get it right 99.99% of the time. So, does the horse have an issue? Don't know. Got no idea. But,
Surely he just needs a dry deck.
You couldn't call that track wet, surely.
I didn't get over there with the Peno. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I think Ganno, you just just chucking out a little bit of a smoky there for us. But he's supposed to run. Isn't he supposed to run at Ascot or something during the carnival?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the plan originally. Who knows if that'll change or not?
It's not so much where his form's at. It's a matter of is he going to perform? Like if he comes out and runs third, then that's fine. Because all of a sudden there's no great issues. He's working his way back into form. Can they find a nice race for him? So if he goes around again, all to be revealed.
Spot on. And speaking of Uncle Chris, he went whack, whack, whack. 3 winners since Butch whacked him. So he's absolutely flying there. I'm surprised you didn't go down the Sydney Swans, and I kind of led you into that group chat about my support of the Sydney Roosters. Butch, you had every opportunity. Did you miss that, or was you just thought you'd let that one go through to the
Have no interest in the NRL, Mick, and you guys were obviously watching the game. There was a bit of back and forward. And I certainly wasn't going to engage in that. I wasn't going to turn off, real crime stories or whatever the hell I was on. Because I think they just discovered the body in the suitcase at that stage. So I was probably, I think Paps might have been at a different level than all of us at that stage of the piece. Don't know what he was up to, but
Jeez, I read to play well there too. I got him good.
Yeah, who put the handbrake on the Roosters? Was that you, Ganno?
That was Jack. Saying they'll run away with this, and I was like, yeah, looks like it. And then seemingly 4 tries to the Raiders later, I think they might have even been beaten 13 plus after being up by 12, so it was a disaster. Let's look forward to Eagle Farm. The races, Group 1 racing, it's a cracking afternoon. Kingsford Smith. Lindsay, why don't you kick us off here? Talk us through, you might know a bit more about some of these locals anyway. Jolly Star, your $2.60 favourite, and Giga Kick $4.20. What do you like?
I do like Giga Kick. Keen on it. I think it wasn't suited first up. A lot of talk around it coming back. Oh, it's best it's ever been. Blah 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 blah. Just a lot of talk, and sometimes you just need to ignore it. I think it wasn't suited slow pace first up. It's got figures on these. Its last 200, 100 was off the charts. You keep Zara. Draws a gate. 1300. It's easy enough for me to back.
Are you concerned where it might get to, Linds, on the map?
No, not really. It always maps, midfield or worse, and I'm just happy to back it.
Pistol, this map here, I'm sure you've had a good look at it.
Yeah.
Jolly Star, Giga Kick, who lands more forward? Who gets that sort of 3 wide line with potential cover? J-Mac or Zara?
That's a good question, because I think on balance, J-Mac's going to be more likely in the 3 wide line, just given the wider gate, but is he going to have a back to follow? I don't really know. Just with Zoroastro obviously kicking up to lead, I was expecting, Rothfire, Libertad, they'll probably try and find a position early, and I can't see J-Mac just trying to push along and trying to put the mare outside or, on pace or anything like that, so I'm more than expecting him to just try and take a sit early. So, look, I don't know if he gets cover. That's probably the query there. I'm expecting Golden Mile goes back just off the first up run, or the last start run, I should say, and then also what we saw on the trial since. And, it's just funny trying to have another look at this race all of a sudden without, the track being a major factor. All of a sudden we've gone from a heavy 8, even worse, and it was worse, back onto a drying surface, light winds forecast, rail 2 metres, which I'm expecting, should play really even. So, look, I'm pretty much on the fence here. I don't actually have a major selection at all. I think the market's not too far off the mark. Jolly Star, the little gap, the freshen up between runs is something of a concern, but she's got the starting price profile and she's had the trial in between. And I agree with everything Lindsay said about Giga Kick. You just go back to his peak figures. His peak last preparation was clearly good enough to be winning this if you can find that. And I don't think he was suited first up either. So I've got those two clearly ahead of everything else. Komachi is probably a one at the price where you could probably back each way if you wanted to do that sort of thing, because she'll get a good map. But that's not telling you anything the market doesn't know. So I'm very much on the fence here.
I bumped into a trial the other day from the Caulfield Heath, and don't know times and what the horse beat, but I was very impressed with Rises at Dawn. I thought that was a very, 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 very good trial. And I'd actually had something each one last week, but I see that they've given me my money back, so I might give that a run around again. But I just find that when now and again you see a horse trial, and they might be in seemingly races that are unsuitable, but we usually, when they trial like that, they race extremely well.
Linds, what did you make of that trial from Rise at Dawn? You would have watched it and taken notes on it. We've got you, the trial king, here. What were your thoughts?
Normally, trial's pretty sharp, for a miler that loves just a strong tempo and to sustain that gallop as it's turned into. Just sharp work forward. I'd say par, better than par. But you do have Big Swinger, who's hard ridden in that heat and behind it. It's come out and won with no favours. So, yeah, it's a good showing. Haroldus was also in that heat, kind of matched motors with it, so it's a good push for that horse, going forward. But, yeah, par slightly better than par.
And then, Pete, it's run 1,400 metres on that horrific day at Flemington where you found that cover of the bin, I reckon. Is it interesting to see 1,600 back to 1,300 to contest a contest like this?
Look, to a certain degree, yeah. But I think they're obviously, they've got the horse up there for something in mind. But, this is just a nice little tick over in between. I'll also note that some of the camp there at Lindsay Park there on Sunday were actually really bullish with this horse if they managed to get him onto the wet track. So they were a bit disappointed the races got called off. I thought they might have had an each way, a little, a very nice little play on their hands. But not to be. Back onto the dry surface. Look, he gets a really good map though, doesn't he?
I think we've got that race surrounded there. Probably four key chances, and we've mentioned them all. The Oaks, I just cannot believe the price they're betting Churchill's Choice. Absolutely ludicrous stuff. Best each way play I've seen in quite some time. Been luckless last two. Now here, ready to rumble, and someone stop me. 14 days.
Such a big run last start, wasn't it? It was just
had no right.
Yeah, had no right. Just kept climbing over them late. Yeah, and look, probably the map ends up being pretty good on paper.
Yeah.
There's almost certainly going to be a 3 wide line, isn't there? Looks good speed early, drawn out wide, and it's just an awkward start there at the 2200. So those horses out wide really have to get motoring to find a spot before they actually hit that corner. So all of a sudden, like, those neutral gates look quite appetising. So yeah, I can absolutely understand that play there, Ganno.
Anything for you there, Pete? Are you just going to chime in with Churchill's Choice as well?
Well, that was my save in the race. I wanted to have something on Jenny's Meadow going outside back to the inside. I mean, look, obviously it was a big flashing light run there last start. The SP profile isn't good, but in these staying races, I think she's probably the one that actually has that the figures to suggest that the extra distance looks very suitable. You go back to that run in the Wakeful, her SP there was $7.50, I think, or $7 behind at Treasure of the Moment. Also, Powers of Opal started odds on there, which is you go back in hindsight and it's like, well, what's going on here? But that gave you confidence there on the day that obviously there was some respect for her over that staying trip. So Gate 1 looks good. And I want to have something on Panito as well, which I know is like a little bit of a different form line, but I even trawled back through Rob Scurry's comments on this horse when he finally saw it for the first time, and he said above average type. And I was like, okay, tick extra little tick there in. But that last start run on the heavy 10 at Gold Coast, I mean, look, it was visually very impressive. But I've just liked the progression of this filly just going through all of her last couple of runs. And her SP profile is actually pretty good. She was $6 behind Filia. And so the price differential is just too great here, given they're $9 versus $4.20. So I'm backing those three.
Beautiful. Anyone else got anything to add there?
Yeah, that was going to be my question about what does K-Mac do with Filia from that barrier? Do you think we see him light it up, or are we going to see this horse potentially take a sit?
I think you just roll the dice and you light her up early. Yeah, just in case it's one of those where everyone else is just too scared to lead, or you don't get any other opposition early. So you don't want to really try and reinvent the wheel with a horse that seems to do her best work out in front and just rolling along. So, yeah, why would you change anything here?
I think there's got to be a chance from that barrier that you potentially get a bigger price as well, hey, late. Like,
yeah,
420 seems pretty skinny. If you're looking at $6 plus, I think you'd be bad not to have it on your side, even just as a save in the race.
Yeah, Ganno, just a question for you. Roger James usually strikes when he brings one across, and he ran his filly in Sydney on a very, very heavy track. Now, if she's better on top of the ground, could She's a Dealer sort of get into the mix at the end of this?
Yeah, so going off that Tarapa stuff, which was on a dead 5, and there's plenty of money for her in Sydney, and then there's also money for her in the futures markets as well. So she came out and ran really well, considering this is one of those days where I wouldn't take note of those margins. Let's Fly was on speed. I think just relished it, and right place, right time for that horse. So to answer your question, I would say that's the horse that is well and truly overs and can jump out of the ground for sure. What are you getting? $51, Butch. So I think you could probably even like a 1x4 sort of set up on it. I can see it definitely getting to a point where it needs to, like, just having a look at the horse figures from NZ, probably needs to improve, I don't know, call it 2 lengths of what it did in that Tarapa run to be sort of thereabouts. And then up to 2,200 metres, Roger James, as if it can't improve 2 to 3, So I like you. I like where you've gone there, Butch.
Yeah. Can I just make an adjustment to your strategy, Mick? Too. It'll be 4x1, not 1x4.
That's why you're the senior advisor. Let's go to Eagle Farm Race 9, the Derby, and well, I'm going to kick off here. I think Party Crap is a really good bet. I love the different form lines. I love the fact the horses raced against older horses, and I'm not a huge fan of this bunch of 3-year-olds, to be completely honest with you. I was looking to go elsewhere. Belle de Tel was sort of one I wanted to go elsewhere with, but I just wasn't necessarily sold off what we saw last time. So happy to duck and weave that this time around and go the way of Party Crash. Pratty, yeah, what was your opinion there?
Charlotte can't do no wrong, can she? I think Dicko was keen on the Muffin Man last week. You potentially got a butter up there, I think. I think you're getting a good enough price to find out. I do have a question, though. Do we think Racing Queensland missed the opportunity to potentially run this race on Wednesday and then have horses back up into the Oaks? I understand it's down 200 metres, but to me that seems logical for horses like this to get a double crack. They might have got the best of both worlds with both fields. Pete, do you think that they potentially could have done something a little bit different with the scheduling?
Pratty, I love a 3-day backup. Just any opportunity to have horses on the quick backup, just like sign me up.
What's the best 4-day backup we've seen in a long time? Via Sistina, right? It ran 6,800 metres around the valley,
exactly,
straight into a Cox Plate. Like I wonder if they had their time again, if they would have potentially liked to do Wednesday for this race straight into the Oaks on Saturday.
Yeah. Look, I understand turnover and all that sort of stuff, and obviously turnover is much better on Saturday than it is on a Wednesday. But
They raced in Doomben though, right? Yesterday.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, no, good call, Ganno.
Just a bit of an asterisk on that, but
yeah.
I share the sentiment.
Just with the Muffin Man, he was second emergency, gained a run last week. He's back to needing another scratching this week. So I see there's only one so far out of the race. So They reinstated all the horses, so he's still scratching away from running.
Yep. The Chrissy Lee's horse still doesn't have a rider booked either, I don't think. So there's that, and that number 10, is it Mason Lewis? That doesn't have a rider either. So maybe you get one more and it gets an opportunity.
Lindsay, any push here in the Derby?
No real push at all. As a Queensland, I'm cheering on Bo Dazzler. He's just one of the most honest horses in our state. So I'll be cheering him on. He'll run the trip, just handles big sustained runs off the bit. He lacks a bit of class against this lot, but I'm happy to back him. I was keen on the Mucky Man before the race was kind of called off last week. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Beautiful. We had a segment next called Rob's Wetties at Randwick. Won't be able to do that this week, but I might go through quickly and just highlight a few horses that have some potential as a wet tracks for those who are interested, because it's a heavy 9, heavy dues around. I don't think we get back to anything better than 8. I thought in the first, change my address for Molly Burke, John Sargent, $12. You could have something on it because it'll probably handle some of the rain-affected track. Race 2, Kerry Parker has a horse by the name of Callistamon. Is ready to fire. They were betting double figures around $8 now. Piggyback's a horse that relishes rain affected going there in race 3. I'm not sure what you're going to do from barrier 1 though. Braith, knock knock, who's there? We'll see what he can do from there. It's probably about it for the wet tracks. So let's go. What are we going to do, lads? We go around the grounds.
Yeah, I think Butch has to drop as well. So maybe say
go, Butchie.
sayonara to Butch. He's probably lunch on Butch. Is that what's going on today?
Maybe.
Come on, Butch. Can we have a side bet, Butch? Me and you?
What are we betting on, Lindsay?
We're betting on Chris Waller's resurgence, if you will. Race 1, Wooten Bassett out of Sunlight. Race 1, Randwick. Can I win on that?
Butch will take that on. There's absolutely no doubt Butch will take that on.
You would have seen at the sales. You would have had a read on it as a yearling.
I'm not understanding the bet here, Lindsay. What have we got? What's the bet?
Top 2, I win. Out of the top 2, you win. And you pick the stake.
Okay. As in steak or steak?
Well, up to you.
Right, okay. Well, you look like you haven't missed one lately, so we'll go the feed.
Roger.
Righto. Good night, boys. See ya.
There he is, the senior advisor. Butch Bourne, done and dusted. Let's go best bets around the grounds, then we'll have a little look at the mailbag runners for the weekend. I'll kick off. Best bet anywhere in the country on an each way basis. Churchill's Choice in the Oaks, Pratty.
Yeah, I'll let Lindsay elaborate. I sent Dicko a text message last night saying soft love $3.60. What do and why is it $5? But a good mate of mine's got it's a yes in that race, and he flicked me a text message, and before fields are out, I thought it'd be about a $2.50 shot, let alone $5 that they went up, and now still $3.60, $3.50. I think that's a great bet. And Lindsay, you agree? Why do you think soft love's a good choice on Saturday?
Yeah, I agree. Dick and I had a call about 1 o'clock yesterday. Went for prices, and I just said, how's this thing? I think it went up 5 into 4, and that Caulfield run was huge. The splits were insane off the maiden.
Yeah.
Thames came out, ran very, very honest at Mornington with absolutely no luck whatsoever, and then it ran huge in that, was it Denise's Joy at Scone? Ganno?
Yep.
Yeah, Denise's Joy at Scone. Thames. I have a huge opinion of that horse. I think it could be, a lightweight sprint chance, 1,400 metre chance in the spring in some Group 1s. So, this horse pretty much handled it that day at Caulfield. Gets back to Melbourne. He had coffee from a wide draw. And watching these group of horses for a year or two now, you get a fair idea of how good they are, and I think Soft Love is better than them, and the ratings suggest that too. It just sets up great. I'm more than happy to back it.
I just think there's also an opportunity for Harry, depending on how he goes. I mean, me telling jockeys how to ride horses would be like me trying to tell Ganno how to play golf. But surely there's an opportunity for this horse to settle just that little bit closer too, with a bit of cover on the grandstand side, and it might be all over. It may not have to settle as far back as it has been around a bend.
Yeah, I agree with that too. It's a yes. It's had some trials out of Geelong.
Yeah.
Just some weak heats. It's moving well, but it's hard to get a real guide of them when they're up against, maidens and 58ers. Then the Hayes horse there, the Price Bloodstock horse, it's trialled pretty well. It'll be up on pace. That's probably the danger. because, you know, if paces against him, Harry gets a bit too far back, that could be a concern. Then again, I think the others outside of that, Salsafella, I think was blessed last start. Nice win, but just limited form around it. Soft Love has the form, I think, and that performance gets back to Melbourne. Easy bet to have, but, you know, 350 plus.
Hey, Pete.
Yeah.
You've pivoted this week and you want to go to some VFL?
The VFL indeed. No, I wanted to be with the -8.5 for Adelaide to take care of Brisbane, which I know Brisbane's been back in a little bit of better form, but you actually just reflect on who they've beaten. They were basically tied with Essendon making a late push there last match, and I don't think that's any great form. I know they were better against Hawthorn the week before, but again, the Hawks are really just like half going at the moment. The 2 weeks before that, they lost to the D's and they drew with North. So I don't think Brisbane's resurgence is as much as what the media has been making of it. But meanwhile, Adelaide has beaten the blind school in Sydney and West Coast the last 2 weeks. So I'm not sure if that's necessarily great form, but they did go pretty well against the Pies 3 back. So I think Adelaide back at their home deck, they might be able to real ruffle a few feathers, so to speak, and get the Lions at an opportune point. So the -8.5, that's what I'll be going with there.
They're a chance to kick 120, 130 points on the weekend, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, they always are. They're such an entertaining side to watch. They're actually really good fun. But I appreciate they're still a little bit sort of, I wouldn't say inconsistent, but their attack probably hasn't been as functional up until the last fortnight. Probably the previous month was a little bit below their expectations, but no, they're an exciting team.
Pratty, best bet of the weekend?
Yeah, Soft Love. I'm with Lindsay. I couldn't believe the price that it went up, honestly. Like, if I had to put a wrapper on it and didn't have a little one running around, I would have tried to get the 5s or the 4s that they put up. I honestly couldn't believe when I saw that it was still 360 last night. And yeah, again, me trying to do form in Victoria again is like you trying to teach you how to swing a golf club, Ganno. Like, it's just the dumbest thing of all time. And you've got Linds and Pete and Dicko running around. But yeah, I honestly couldn't believe the price. As Dicko said, it's just would be the easiest bet to have at 350. I think it has to start close to 250, especially if they're making any ground. Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't at least have it on your side to start with. If on day it's playing mad on pace, the runner that Lindsay didn't want to have a crack at the name of, which I won't either, for Lindsay Park, you could definitely have on side because it will be up on speed. But yeah, I think Soft Love's just a great bet. And then just to really pivot, considering how well this show's going, Pete, last weekend, Niance. Where do you see that runner getting to in the spring?
Don't know. Some black type race. I'm sure the camp's got something in mind.
Yeah, 100%. Ganno, what did you make of the run? I just thought it was enormous, 4 wide, no cover. That's surely got just anything it wants in the spring, down in the weights, in a handicap race, doesn't it?
Spells a long time in racing, Pratty.
It's a good call.
I'll be completely honest with you. I'm like a real race by race operator, and my greatest losses come betting early.
Love it. All right. Well, Lindsay, give me fucking something then for the comment I made. I've got 2 absolute dot balls from Ganno and Pete. You would have done the review and had a look. That number's pretty big, isn't it? And Lindsay's going to go, I don't know. My car got T-boned and there's no axle in my car and I'm walking everywhere. So you haven't had as much time to do the form or what?
No, I was in Adelaide, freezing at the Exeter Hotel with a beer. A Cooper's. I hate Cooper's. Such a bad beer. But it might have to beat Thames in something, I think.
Ooh.
If they, go to a handicap, something like that.
Beautiful. Boys, some best bets for the senior advisor. He's gone. He forgot that he actually had a best bet. He just decided to leave us and not mention it. But
yeah, what do we make of that, him playing golf today, Ganno? Is that acceptable behaviour or what?
So I was referring to Butch. We'll get to our illustrious captain in a sec. So Butch, race 3, number 3, Cindy Fours. Now, speaking of the men out there playing golf, he said he's got to help Ems today. He's going to be busy. Then rumours have he's playing golf. I suggest he's doing no cleaning of the house. He's told Ems that he's flat out working and he's going to play a quick 18. One of the greatest burglars of all time is one Jay Dickens. I've never seen anything like it. He protects his handicap like he protects his family. It's unreal.
Is that a good thing, though, if you're protecting your family that well? I know he's been a bit of a bandit, but that's surely only a good thing, isn't it? Especially if you're playing for cash. You'd be wise enough not to take him on in golf, though, wouldn't you, Ganno, if you know he's been a burglar?
Where's Stim when he keeps trying to tell me he's playing off 18? And he's two over through 9, and I'm like, mate, this is ridiculous. Like, what do you want me to be 9 under to be square with you or something? Like, what are we doing here? So he's... he flares up when he needs to. He's very, very well managed on the golf handicap. He has far too much ability. I think if it was in racing terms, like he would need like a 8 kilo claimer to be competitive. Competitive each week, because I don't know how he does it, but I think he's playing off 13. And then he messaged me. He's like, I had 4 over today. I'm like, well, mate.
Yeah,
he's still off 13.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway, he's not here to defend himself. His best bet of the week, Pratty, have you got it in front of you there?
Yeah, I do. Comes up in race 6, unless I'm mistaken. It is number 6, the Golden Fist. We'll get to it a little bit later. We do have Cruise Missile going around in that race as well, which has to be some chance. But yeah, his best was race 6, number 6, Golden Fist on the 7-day backup, I believe. And then Martial Music, scratched from Wednesday, which Pete, at the end of the day, from that wide barrier, if he didn't get the lead, it was probably a blessing to be scratched from Sandown with a little bit of a firmer deck, and it's going to go and hopefully swim at Morfettville, and looks pretty hard to beat in a second. That is race 2, number 1, again, a Mailbag Bloodstock runner in Martial Music.
Rob Scurry, best bet, Randwick, race 2, number 4, Engine Room. He's very much in the engine room when his internet does work for the Mailbag group. Lindsay, have we got a best bet for us yet?
Yeah, soft love, mate.
Soft love.
Race 4, Flemington.
My apologies. Got lost. Pratty threw me when he asked me a question about something that's going to happen in 6 months' time. I don't even know what's happening in Wagga today, Pratty. Anyway, onwards, upwards. I think that's about it. Why don't we just go through the Mailbag runners? Giddalong gets up there to Randwick race 10. I've had a look at the race. I think it's a very, very winnable race for this horse, and hasn't, like, whilst it's in good form, still has a bit of room to move on what it's done in Sydney in the past, and gets to a pretty suitable setup here. Randwick, and you're getting to the 1,000 metres, barrier 12, Nashville Wheeler, Mailbag Wheeler combination. We've seen that a few times before on a rain affected track, and that barrier might deter a few people, but you're looking at lane 6+ there with the rail in the true position, and I'd suggest you that by 4:20 on the afternoon that Nash will do whatever Nash wants to do and get to whatever lane Nash wants to get to, and this horse will give a huge sight around $7.50. Don't be scared of backing it. Pratty, Cruise Missile, Morfettville Parks.
Yeah, race 6, Morfettville Parks. Scratched last week to come here. Hickmon's very, very happy with it. Should give a sight. Up in distance, works out perfectly. Hopefully it gets a good run in transit. Horse needs to be bowling along. Linds, you'd know a little bit more about the cruise than I would. Horse needs to be bowling along a little bit. It should give a good sight, but Tico obviously is with another one in that race.
And Martial Music in race 2, they're the Mailbag runners. I know Miss Yucatel, she'll be going around pretty soon. She was enormous. We gave her a push, enormous, around $21. If she didn't have, or if she had some clean air, she probably wins the race. First up, Sunny Coast, I think it was 1,200 metres. First time she's been 1,200 metres for quite some time. She'll keep going through the grades, and I think she'll go around in about 5 or 6 days' time, so keep an eye out for her. Plenty of other runners, plenty of horses to still get involved in. Jono, Jono, themailbag.com.
.au there, Ganno. And I think for anybody who isn't signed up to the mailing list, if you just want to get involved and get the Mailbag Bloodstock newsletter each and every week, Dicko and Jono do another podcast in there as well where they talk about the upcoming runners for the week and things that are going on in the industry. It gives you the opportunity to understand that we're going to have Lindsay Park open days and open days elsewhere. If you do want to get involved, just to get some information, obviously, as Ganno just said, jono@themailbag.com.au. Send him an email, register yourselves, and then you can also hear about the exciting horses that Linds identifies and Pete identifies, and Scuzz talks to him, and then Dicko goes out and buys them well over what Jono gives him budget for. So, yeah, silly not to get involved. It's the best way to keep informed with what's going on at the Mailbag Bloodstock, and send Jono an email and get involved.
Beautiful. Hopefully this isn't a one-hit wonder for me, but there's a fair chance it will be, lads. It's been a pleasure steering the ship. I'm sure we'll be back for episode 303 next week. A few more Dickoisms, and let's see how much money and how far he fleeced Team Hayes by, I'd suggest he probably beats them by 6 today.